There comes a quiet moment in life that most people don't talk about, not because it's rare, but because it's deeply personal. It's not loud or dramatic, and no one applauds when it happens. It usually arrives late at night, when the world is asleep and your phone screen has gone dark. You're lying there staring at the ceiling, replaying conversations that already happened, and imagining ones that never will, feeling a tightness in your chest you can't quite name. You realize you've been strong for too long, patient for too long, understanding for people who never truly tried to understand you. In that moment, a thought appears, not angry or hopeful, just exhausted. I don't want to be hurt like this ever again. Not betrayed again, not disappointed again, not emotionally drained again. This speech is for that moment, because the truth is nothing and nobody has to hurt you ever again, but not for the reason you think. It isn't because people suddenly become kinder or life becomes easier, but because something inside you begins to shift in a quiet, irreversible way. At some point, most of us fall for a subtle illusion of control, the belief that if we are good enough, kind enough, patient enough, people will treat us better. So we explain ourselves too much, forgive too quickly, and tolerate disrespect in silence. We hand people access to our inner world and hope they handle it with care. But the uncomfortable Stoic truth is that people do not hurt you because you are weak. They hurt you because they are human, and humans are inconsistent, emotional, and often unconscious. The mistake is not trusting people, it's expecting them to protect what even you haven't fully learned to protect yet. Pain doesn't come from what people do, it comes from the meaning you attach to what they do. A delayed reply becomes rejection, criticism becomes a verdict on your worth, distance becomes abandonment. Stoicism teaches that meaning is flexible, not fixed, and once you understand that, you realize you are not powerless. When you change the meaning, you change the experience, and slowly the same situations stop cutting as deep. One of the most freeing realizations in Stoicism is understanding that most things have nothing to do with you. The tone of their voice, the way they pulled away, the message they didn't reply to, or the respect they failed to give often feels personal because you are present. But more often than not, it's about their fears, wounds, immaturity, and inner chaos. When someone disrespects you, it doesn't define your worth, it reveals their level of awareness. When someone leaves, it doesn't mean you weren't enough, it means the connection reached the limit of what it could be. You don't need to harden your heart or become cold to protect yourself. You need to loosen your grip on other people's behavior. The moment you stop taking everything personally, you regain your bala. You begin to see events clearly rather than emotionally, and in that clarity, your peace becomes harder to disturb. This is where real power begins, not in control over others, but in control over your own interpretations. Many people misunderstand Stoicism and think it means becoming emotionless, detached, or unreachable. But that's not strength. That's fear wearing discipline's clothes. True Stoic strength is feeling everything without letting those feelings command you. You acknowledge the hurt without building an identity around it, observe emotions without drowning in them, and allow disappointment to pass through instead of letting it move in permanently. Pain demands attention, but suffering demands participation, and you can choose not to participate. When someone tries to provoke you, you pause. When someone tries to guilt you, you breathe. When someone tries to pull you back into old patterns, you remember why you left. That pause, that small space between stimulus and response, is where nothing and nobody can touch you. In that space, you are free. You are no longer reacting from wounds but responding from awareness, and that shift alone changes how deeply life can hurt you. There is a specific kind of pain that comes when you stop chasing validation, and it feels like emptiness at first. You stop explaining yourself, stop correcting misunderstandings, and stop proving your intentions, and suddenly you realize how much of your energy was spent trying to be seen. Letting go hurts because your ego is starving. Your identity may have been built on being needed, appreciated, or chosen. Stoicism teaches something radical here. You don't need to be understood to be at peace. You don't need closure from people who lacked clarity, and you don't need apologies from people who lack accountability. Peace begins when you stop asking the world to agree with you. This doesn't mean you stop caring, it means you stop outsourcing your inner stability. You begin to stand on your own values instead of other people's approval, and although it feels lonely at first, it eventually feels solid and calm in a way approval never did. There is one internal boundary that changes everything once it's set. I am responsible for my character, not for other people's behavior. This boundary doesn't announce itself or demand recognition. It doesn't argue, explain, or justify. It simply acts differently. You stop reacting instantly, stop engaging in emotional debates, and stop rewarding disrespect with access. You become calm not because you're numb, but because you're selective. Some people will call this distance, some will say you've changed, and some will feel uncomfortable around your silence. That's not a loss, that's alignment. When pain tries to return, don't romanticize the journey. Old memories will resurface, and a song, place, or message may bring a wave you didn't expect. Stoicism doesn't promise immunity from emotion, it promises mastery over response. You survived when you didn't know you would, learned when you didn't want to, and grew in ways that can't be undone. Pain may knock on the door, but you don't have to invite it in. Feel it, name it, and let it pass. You are not the pain, you are the awareness watching it move through you. The final truth most people learn too late is that nothing and nobody hurts you again when you stop abandoning yourself. When you honor your limits, trust your intuition, and walk away without needing to win, something changes. Self-respect is quiet. It doesn't threaten or beg. It simply chooses peace over chaos again and again. One day you'll notice something incredible. People still behave the same and life still throws challenges, but you are untouched in a deeper way because you no longer give anyone the authority to define your inner state. You don't need to become colder or shut down your heart. You need to become anchored in values, anchored in self-control, anchored in the understanding that your peace is non-negotiable. Nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again. Not because the world changed, because you did, and that change is permanent.